think overtrading is probably the number one problem for any trader. If they're in our community or outside of our community, it is like the worst problem. And there's a few different kinds. The one that's probably the most famous or most common is called revenge trading. And essentially what that is like if you experience a loss, and especially if it's like a jerk move on the market's part, it's just a mess. You're trading out of frustration. The other type of overtrading is when you do well. Okay, it's the opposite. You take a buy and you are correct and you got a good amount of pips and you're like, man, that was great. I want to keep going. I want to experience that again. And then they overtrade and then they lose the amount that they just gained. Ultimately, what it boils down to is discipline. Trading and clicking the button is a choice. It is an action that you are choosing to do. And so if you find yourself over trading, you're choosing that and you have to like own up to it.
So what are the secrets? How do some of the most successful entrepreneurs find the freedom that we all got into business for in the first place? How did they find the time, energy, and resources to launch and scale strong? And how do entrepreneurs like us align our time, money, and energy in a way that will allow us to reach what we set out to achieve? These are the key questions, and this community will give you the answers. Welcome to the Prosperity Movement. Welcome to the Prosperity U podcast. We are super excited for going over this really important topic. I don't know how many individuals talk about this. I mean, it is a really, really impactful thing and in a direction that we don't want to be moving, and it's called overtrading. And so we're going to talk about overtrading today and some of the things that might trigger it, and what are some of the fixes, what are some of the things that we're seeing, what are some of the things that of how you can overcome overtrading and get to being consistent and seeing that cash flow come in through your trading so that you can be more consistent and honed in and focused on better things. So I'm going to let Zach kind of take it away. He's leading the call per se today, and Travis and I might jump in here and there, but he's really the coach, and he's the one who is the individual who deals with most of our students and some of the most critical areas that they need assistance with. So he's going to share most of his experience with that, not just in his personal trading, but also what he helps guide people through. So awesome to have you and to have you help us, guide us through, Mr. Guide.
Thank you. That's
sounded like you're a guest on your own podcast.
Yeah. Happy to be here. Actually funny, the guide thing is from an old business of mine, but it's a play on words. Anyway, cool. Well, thank you. Yeah, I think overtrading is probably the number one problem for any trader. If they're in our community or outside of our community, it is like the worst problem. And it's not like that for everybody, but I would say from a statistical standpoint, everyone goes through it at least once where they experience it. And there's a few different kinds. It's not just like, the one that's probably the most famous or most common is called revenge trading. And essentially what that is like if you experience a loss, and especially if it's like a jerk move on the market's part, if you will, like where you say, hey, you know what, this market's probably going to go up, I'm going to take a buy. You take a buy, it comes down, and you end up with a loss, and then it takes off, and then you're like, oh shoot, well now it's doing what I wanted, and now you're entering late, and now you're over trading trying to get it, but then it comes back down, and you're like, oh dang it, and it's just a mess. That's revenge trading, and you're trading out of frustration is what it is, and that's no bueno. The other type of overtrading is when you do well. Okay, it's the opposite, where you say, hey, you know what, I think the market's going to go up, I'm going to go in here. You take a buy and you are correct, and you got a good amount of pips. You got 15, 20, 50 pips, whatever it is, a big number, and you're like, man, that was great. I want to keep going. I want to experience that again. That was so much fun. Let's do it again. And then they overtrade, and then they lose the amount that they just gained, right? And so those are the two different kinds of overtrading. Ultimately, what it boils down to, and I know this is not what people want to hear, but at the same time, it's what they really need to hear, because what it boils down to is discipline. Trading and clicking the button is a choice. It is an action that you are choosing to do. And so if you find yourself over trading, you're choosing that and you have to like own up to it. If you don't and you just blame the market, oh well, the market did me dirty. It got me out and then it went off without me and I had to. No, 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 no. You can't do that. You chose to push the button. You exited at the wrong time. You entered then after many many times that you should not have. Um, what a lot of our members do is they have rules put in place like only taking 5 trades in an hour. We call that the 5 bullet rule. That's something that James does too. He recommends that 5 trades an hour. If you take 5 and you're down for the day, okay, close it. That's the rule, right? Um, I think the real trick comes into play is when your own rules don't matter to you. That's where it's a challenge. That's where we got to be a little more creative. Um, when building discipline with anything, Travis, what do you think is like if you want to be disciplined in anything, you play guitar, for example, um, to practice that and to get disciplined with it, what are some tips or things that you did to help yourself do
I
that when
see.
you didn't want to?
I see what he did there. He pointed out, knowing that I'm a guitar player, so he's going to start a fight.
Mine's in the backgrounds. It probably he saw that and just he just knows that I'm a better guitarist too.
Oh
So there's
gosh.
also that. Yeah.
Oh,
I want to. I'm kind of sick saying it out loud. I'm sorry, bud. I meant it, but I shouldn't have said it. And no, Chip to play guitar better, eh? I don't know if I'm the right person to talk to about that. Actually, I think that Bryan, as far as the guitar, is the more disciplined one. I just happened to be in the military with my dad, moving around all the time, and it was hard sometimes to make friends when you go from one high school to another. And I ended up picking up guitar and spending just a lot of time with it, just a ton of practice, and it was enjoyable. Um, so I can comment a little bit on this for the discipline of things is that people don't want to be bad at things, but they want to be get the benefit of things that they have to be bad at first, right? Like when I go to the gym, I'm like Bryan always says, I'm not going to lift 500 pounds day one, so I'm going to be bad at lifting 500 pounds, but I'm probably pretty okay at lifting the 100, right, or whatever. And you've got to go through the motions to be able to get to the place where you want to be, which is good at something. And so with trading, there's a certain enjoyment that comes from it once you get those really basic things down, and that discipline becomes a lot easier, right? So slowing it down and focusing on just a few different moving parts first and getting really good at that so that it's enjoyable to go through those motions, right? Makes it a lot easier to focus on things like discipline on more and more as you go forward, right? So throwing it back to guitar, I mean, I could pick up the guitar and be really poor at playing the G chord, but if I get really good at playing just each one of the notes individually and kind of moving those fingers, then it's an enjoyable process. I'm practicing, and then all of a sudden, bam, I play the G chord. And then when you're having fun, you're doing it well, it's a lot easier to be disciplined, right? And so I think I mean, Alex Hormozy says it really well. He said that to be really great at something new, you're probably going to be like okay or maybe even bad at it at first. And to be passionate about it, you're going to want to be good at it. Like no one's passionate about things that they suck at, right? And so there's a process to get from brand new to intermediate, and then to get into the point of being really good at something. And so the discipline actually I think gets easier over time. So the first one is just focus on some fundamentals, right? Focus on the easier things that you can master and progress with, because that will make it more enjoyable. That enjoyment will fuel the fleeting motivation, right? We try and not use the word motivation, but it will fuel the motivation as you're having fun with the process, and then that will then incur like a positive feedback loop, right? Does that does that make sense?
yeah.
Okay.
You could say discipline is like a habit. Bryan, you recently read a pretty awesome book, Atomic Habits.
Atomic habits, yeah, but I just find it very interesting, like being able to witness in some of the coaching circles and like the round tables that we have going on right now. Some of the guys that have been wrestling for some time are really turning this around. Sorry, feel like I got an itchy nose, almost ready to sneeze. Mm. almost hit me there. But yeah, like we've got a few students that it's been really fun to see over the last couple of weeks, just constantly pumping in like, hey, you know what? Like I got my 10 pips or I got my 20 pips today, and like I could have had 50, but you know, I'm really happy with, you know,
Thank you.
they followed what they were supposed to be doing.
I
And
got my Prosperity Movement coffee.
nice.
Get yours at Prosperity Movement. Not online.
Yeah, but like you know, it was very clear in the feeds weeks ago that the problem was over trading and taking way too many trades, and now you're seeing them be within that five and coming out on top. And you know, again, if we just look at 10 pips a day, it's incredible what you can do at just 10 pips a day, 40 pips a week. You know, like it's genuinely amazing to
Yeah.
see what happened with that. So very cool to see students really honing in on that and being disciplined and patient with that process. So it's exciting to see, and all a testament to you know what you guys are doing as coaches, Zach, yourself, you know Matt, Janelle, Shane, and James. Like it's amazing to see the progress that's happening within the community right now. We're really grateful for you guys and how you're helping students really hone in on that. So very, very cool.
I jumped on Zach's trading session last night, and it was nice to see how many people were engaging with you and actually talking and being a part of it. And there were plenty of bouts of time within that hour long session, right? I believe it was you guys got concluded within the hour. Okay. Um, but during that time there's a lot of well, this is happening, here's what I'm expecting, here's what we're going to do, but then you just waiting, right? And I think some people might get a little antsy with that. They're just sitting there and they want it to move faster than what the market's actually going to do for them. But that's what you're in the game for, is what is the market providing. We're here to get what the market gives. And one thing I want to note is that in those waiting periods, though, I mean, you made it really fun. You were talking and sharing some jokes. Maybe if they were off color, I don't know. But and if you guys were on the call last night, you get that joke because that was a joke itself, right? And that was fun. I need to highlight something though, because you didn't look at my joke in the chat and say it out loud. It's that UPS and FedEx are merging companies. Did you know that? They're going to be called Fed Up.
I think I was fed up with your jokes. That's why I didn't read it.
But you guys are having fun in the process, and so many people were just casually chatting. You're waiting, everyone's watching the chart, and it's just kind of waiting for the right timing. And it was very casual, it was very calm, and it was amazing to watch that patience. I think the just having fun and being patient is what's going to fuel that discipline to focus on task at hand and follow the system outlined, right? So jumping on those live calls as a group makes it a lot more enjoyable. That makes it a lot more easier to be disciplined, especially when you're seeing everyone else doing it too. You don't want to be that one guy that breaks the rules and everyone's like, I got 10 pips, they got 50 pips, they got 35 or whatever. Oh, I lost 10. You don't want to be that guy. So it's kind of this I don't know if herd mentality is the right word to say, but the community aspect of working together and wanting to be a part of that winning group, right? So it's easier to be disciplined when you have other people trading with you, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nice. And it took you guys the hour to get there, and then it was something like what, 76 pips or something like that?
Yeah, some people got like 70 or 80 pips. I only got 53 out of it. But it's, that's what's really nice about it though, is because I locked in maybe a little too tight. And so because I just wanted 50. I wanted 50 for the session. That was my goal. So as soon as it got there, I'm like, I'm just going to get it. So I put my stop loss a little too close too soon, but I did it on purpose because that's how I trade. I like to make sure I get my goal. And other people, they were like more patient with it and let it go even further. And I think we had one person that got 83 pips on the same move. So she did really, really well. But it happened after 50 minutes of waiting. And being bored and being like, well, we can't do it yet. No, not yet. We're still waiting, and so go ahead, Travis.
Well, you got really well, you and these folks have gotten really good at being patient and disciplined in that process, right? But it's, I think, important to note is that you are trading basic strategy on this session, right? There were many larger plays with the intermediate approach, not even the best of the best, just the intermediate plays. You could have taken those, but just slowing it down. And here's the idea is that yes, there's ways that you can grow and you can scale and have more opportunities in place. But even again, the kind of the core principle of what we've been talking about recently is that if we get very disciplined on just these very basic plays, 10 pips a day, today was 50, awesome, but 10 pips a day is more than enough to be a satisfactory income. And so it's not even getting to the all the skills and all of the tools in your tool belt. Is like just these basic fundamentals. If you can be disciplined on those, you'll probably be pretty good. If you're good, you'll be having fun and be passionate about it, and that will fuel the consistency and or the desire to grow, right? So it's a positive feedback loop. But there's also the negative feedback loop. Whenever we don't feel like being disciplined, typically some things can happen negatively, then that's going to influence fear and other things. And so it's really important just to focus on the systematized approach, because I would readily admit I'm not the most disciplined person myself. But if I have a system in place and I can just follow A, B, C, D, if I can do that, it's a lot easier for me to get things accomplished correctly.
Yeah, good. Well, I think that this has been a really nice, hot topic and really quick kind of in and out. I think ultimately, if you are struggling with overtrading or you're new to trading, wherever you're at, if you're looking to gain consistency, to get to a point of building up your cash flow systems and get to a point where you can build a new skill set outside of, maybe what you're doing right now. We've got tons of people coming through. Some are professional and doing quite well, but they want to get better. They want to level up the game. Others are, looking for ways to it's unfortunate in the current economy that, there's a lot of people that are looking to start building their retirement. There's a lot of different reasons why people are getting started with prosperity movement. But ultimately, if you are wanting to come in and get in and get out with the big discipline, as Travis says, and you want to get honed in on this so that you can start to grow your portfolio and gain consistency on all fronts with that, then all you got to do is go to prosperitymovement.online, and at the bottom right hand of the corner, there's a little chat bubble, and you can reach out to us and we can give you some really awesome free resources. We have some live trading results. We have the 6-figure withdrawal plan. We have the blueprint that we want to help you get set up with so you can do your due diligence. So you can go to prosperitymovement.online. You can email support at prosperitymovement.online. There's multiple different ways that you can reach out. If you're in the system where you're getting text messages and emails, all you got to do is set up a time. And every day there is an email or a text message that goes out in order for you to be able to do that. And we look forward to chatting with you real soon. We want to wish you all the best in health, wealth, relationships. Is there anything else that you guys want to add to today?
No, sounds good.
Good. Soon. And yeah,
Thanks, guys.
cheers.
Bye-bye.